So there's more or less a free zone now in the area of Capitol Hill neighborhood in Seattle after police abandoned the East Precinct there after basically a week-long siege against peaceful protesters where the protesters were tear gassed, shot with rubber bullets, the flashbang grenades, pepper spray and mace, just all kinds of police brutality, human rights violations across the board, basically a nightly occurrence towards these protesters. And police ended up abandoning this precinct anyways. And the protesters, have set up what they call the Seattle Autonomous Free Zone around the East Precinct that was abandoned, like I said. So that's the East Precinct all boarded up, surrounded by protesters. Pretty exciting, honestly. Um, this is from an organizer. I guess whatever the fuck we're doing is effective. One organizer identified as Magic said over the megaphone early in the night as the police were still clearing the area. Excuse me. I mean, there's somebody's own riot shield. Pink umbrella has become a symbol of the demonstrations. Um, and here's what it looks like once the police left. Very, very peaceful. What do you know? Get the cops out of the way, the outside instigators. Things just mellow out. Funny how that works. It's pretty peaceful. It's Cal Anderson Park Day. Guess what? All it took to happen was for the police to get out of there. Problem solved. Problem solved. Defund police. ACAB. I like the sentiment that ACAB expresses, but I don't like the bastard part because that's kind of stigmatizing, people that were born in an unmarried, relationship or whatever, and I don't think they should be stigmatized. I believe police in Britain, in the UK, are called filth. Maybe that would be a better term to use instead of bastards, but I digress. I digress. Cool pictures. Make that a little smaller so we can see. That is pretty neat. All right, let's see the next one. Yeah, and I guess there's just a lot of people providing mutual aid. There's, I believe, tents for food. There's bathrooms, as you can see there. There's people taking shifts. They barricaded the street so, people wouldn't be able to come in and try to hit the protesters like we saw on Sunday. Awesome. That's really cool. Kudos to Seattle Central College for helping people out there. The system cannot fail those who it was never meant to protect. Indeed. And that's the amazing council member, Seattle City Council member Kshama Sawant, socialist member of the Seattle City Council, always been out there in the streets, whether it's fighting for fair wages for airport workers, to defunding the police, to getting Durkin to resign, taxing Amazon. She's always been on the side of the working people and trying to fight to make a more fair and just Seattle for everybody. And we need more elected officials like her because she's uncorruptible as far as I can tell, and has been basically on the right side of every issue that I've been able to see. And there's outside what used to be that precinct. Now it's the Seattle Autonomous Free Zone. You are entering free Capitol Hill. I'm gonna have to get up there sooner than later just to check it out because I mean it's a really just amazing example of what people getting in the streets, peacefully protesting, fighting for a more just and equitable world, in particular, with regards to the police and what that can accomplish. They took back this area from heavily militarized police who are violently repressing protesters, and all it took was the protesters' unwavering resolve and the face of this violence to get it back. And it's really just a powerful message. When you stand up with enough people, you can really force the system to change on your terms. I can't breathe. Look at all those people. And then there's been, people, it's a little band playing music there. There's like people taking shifts. It's just a lot of mutual aid and solidarity and helping each other out. It's just really amazing to see, frankly. Go back to the page. Let's see, are you gonna let me go back? I went back too far. Make that a little bigger. Here we go. But very, very interesting what's going on in this area of Capitol Hill. Like I said, the protesters, these people basically control this area now without any need for police. What do you know? Yep, and they built their own barricade to protect themselves. There you go. Wow. Pretty awesome. Pretty freaking cool. Some more pictures. The groups are not yet camped out, but are prepared to stay in the area, replenish with marches and rallies until demands over cuts to the SPD budget and more spending on social programs are met. Pretty awesome. And there is Kshama Sawant.
Of why it will take a serious fight. 2 years ago, there was a police contract up for a vote. It was a bad contract. It was a racist contract. It was going to roll back the limited accountability measures that were hard fought for by community members. And the community spoke with one voice
and
pleaded with Mayor Durkin and the city council.
She didn't listen.
Please,
none of them did.
Vote no.
Except for Kshama.
What do you think happened?
What did she do?
It's not just about her, though. She of course, was championing the contract. But here is what I want to share with some of you who may not know what happened. The city council at that time was majority people of color, like me. And yet, I was the only no vote on that contract. We have to remember that, what builds the movement is not people who are in power that may look like you or me, but it's people who have shown through their actions that they are in solidarity with ordinary people and marginalized communities. But what we are seeing now is an uprising, a rebellion of young people, not just nationwide, but globally.
Yep, sure.
My question is, and it deals with the whole society in Seattle.
She is amazing. We got some band, martial law band, holding it down 6 days in a row. Good for them. Let's just look at a few pictures about what's going on in the Seattle Autonomous free zone. The free zone in Capitol Hill that protesters liberated from the brutally repressive Seattle Police Department. There's that sign we already saw. Mourn the dead and fight like hell for the living. Rest in power to those killed during George Floyd rebellion. Very powerful stuff. BLM. There's the Capitol Hill Free Zone. Protester occupied Seattle. Check that out. Look at this. Medic stations. Marches up and down Broadway. Political community center and speech area. Captured regime, the East Precinct, relaxation and dining field. Food regularly handed out and coffee bar. And commune food stations. Doors were left unlocked. Wow, at that precinct. Regime encampment off Broadway. I mean, information congregation. They're getting it together. They're doing it by relying on each other, not some, outside force. It's very, very just empowering and amazing to see. 6 blocks retaken back for the people. Leaving the USA when you enter, long live the fucking revolution. Love it. And you got this freaking fascist sympathizer, Andy Ngo. Not sure how you pronounce his name, but he's got a lot of internalized oppression himself. I feel like that's kind of one of the only. Sorry for the radio silence. Too busy hanging out in the Seattle Autonomous Zone. Alright, so there you go. A little bit about the Seattle Autonomous Free Zone. Very, very cool. Peace. What's up?